That's a very Eastern tradition, that, to my knowledge. And I loved your book because I felt like, you had a real... Now, there are books who intellectualize things, and there are books who are written by people who have experienced things. And I think it's very clear when to me, when I read something, it's not how many concepts or how well it's written necessarily. There's something about the structure of it that is so revealing whether or not the author has actually experienced something. And to me, it was very clear that you are a teacher who teaches from experience. So tell us a little bit about self-inquiry and how, what is that and how it affected you in your life.
Yeah. The experience is the key. Thank you for that. Yeah, and Tomas and I certainly had a lot of experience in undoing the ego. I think I might have mentioned to you in a conversation before that we made a lot of mistakes. And that's why we might be very helpful with students from a practical level because of the experience that we've had. In other words, we know so many of the holes you fall into through the ego. So we could probably save people a lot of suffering through that. Yeah. Self-inquiry is it's absolutely necessary. It really is necessary. It's a tool that everybody should use if they're truly wanting to wake up out of suffering. And what it is just asking ourselves the questions, especially in the areas of suffering, is really going into what is it that I'm truly fearful of. Because the first answer that will come up will be the ego, and it'll say, well, I'm fearful of being embarrassed in public. All right? And it'll stop there. It doesn't want you to go any further than that. It doesn't want you to ask, yes, but what's the fear underneath being embarrassed in public? And then it'll come up with another one. And then you ask, yes, but what's the fear underneath that? And 2 or 3 lines later, we'll come up with, oh my God, so this is the unconscious fear right here. And we do a lot of that in the book, Take Me to Truth, in the new book I'm writing now. And in fact, part of this new book I am writing now has like a workbook attached to it.
Wow.
To take through some really profound self-inquiry exercises that I have found helped me tremendously in this last 12 months since Tomas has passed, to get deeper, to find out exactly what is it that is stopping me, what is it that's holding me back, what is it that I'm fearful of, and then just blowing right through it.
Yes. And obviously self-inquiry is a very ancient technique, isn't it? I mean, it's something that came from the Hindus, Ramana Maharshi, his self-inquiry technique is, who am I? Who is this I that we think we are? Who is this? What is this body? What is this thing? This is not I. This body changes from second to second and minute to minute. So what is this I that's behind all of this? What's the animation? And I especially like Take Me to Truth because it introduced me to Byron Katie's work, the work of Byron Katie, which obviously is also self-inquiry, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. And I recommend that, I think, in Take Me to Truth quite a bit for people who are stuck, particularly people who've been very badly hurt emotionally or even physically through believing in past abuse and not being able to get past past abuse, or even present abuse, or present heartbreak, or the death of somebody, or maybe problems that they have with their children. It's wonderful. Byron Katie's form of inquiry really gets to the bottom of it. Yeah. Because, as you know, Ken,
I know everything.
Yeah, you know everything, right? Okay. Thank God you know everything.
I know everything.
Thank God. Is that everybody outside of us who truly pisses us off, right? We all know them. they're not really there. So they're not really there. So who is really pissing us off if there's nobody outside of us, right? So this is what I introduced, particularly in this book, is how to go a little deeper, a lot deeper, I should say, into if we're really having difficulty with others, what's the truth behind all of that? Yeah. What about that?
Well, I mean that's actually an interesting one, because I found it very difficult to teach people or to tell people that, okay, you know, the guy George Bush, he's really you. You know, it's a very far jump, and the way I personally bridge that is just thinking that everything that makes me suffer is a gift. That there is a learning opportunity in every time I'm pissed off. Every time that I'm pissed off, that there is an opportunity to look at what's pissing me off and to remove that little piece of dirt, and so to make my, you know, my slate a bit cleaner. And the cleaner my slate is, the more happy I will be. So yeah, I don't know, that works for me.
Yeah, and I might introduce something very radical here, if I may.
Go for it.
You might lose some listeners and some viewers out of this, right? That having chosen the pathway of A Course in Miracles, I was gifted with a prayer, a spiritual tool that would truly speed up the process of forgiveness, real forgiveness, as Jesus speaks about in the Course. And if I may share that tool here.
Please.
Is that okay? All right. And it might be a difficult one to swallow. But
I have my water with me.
Yeah, you've got some water, right? It still works even though you may have resistance to it. And that is to if you have somebody that you're having difficulty with, you're having conflict with, then this is the prayer. And the prayer is this: Spirit, help me to forgive myself for using, and put the person's name there, and I will put Tomas, because he used to really drive me up the wall sometimes. So it's Spirit, help me to forgive Tomas. Sorry, Spirit, help me to forgive myself for using Tomas to attack myself and to separate from your love. Now this one throws the ego for a loop, totally. So let's go through that sentence again. So it's Spirit, help me to forgive myself for using Tomas to attack myself and to separate from your love. Okay? So say if we're in physical pain, we have a god-awful headache, right? We can use it for the headache, which is Spirit, help me to forgive myself for using this headache to attack myself and to separate from your love. Can you see the thread here? What it does is it takes it back to the source. In other words, it takes it back to the cause. And there's always only one cause, and that is unforgiveness, which is unconscious guilt in our own mind. It's not with a headache. It's not with cancer. It's not with the person at work that pisses us off. It's not with our partner that drives us crazy. It's not with any of that. It's about forgiving ourselves for using them, remembering that what the ego does is it takes our unconscious guilt and our unconscious fears and it literally projects it out onto other people and into situations in the world. And then what we do when we're a beginning course student, and I did this for many, many years, is I tried to forgive everything that drove me nuts out there in the world. So I would say, Holy Spirit, help me to forgive my mother for abusing me as a child. Holy Spirit, help me to forgive the pain of my early childhood. Help me to forgive this, help me to forgive that. And it's not about forgiving anything out there. You know, okay, eventually it'll work, but if you truly want to shorten suffering, then it's best to actually take it to the source, which is help me to forgive myself for using whatever is upsetting me.
Wow.
Right? Wow. Attack myself. Yeah.
That is, yeah, I can see how powerful that is, because it really reclaims that responsibility, doesn't it? It's really taking back that power, because suddenly, you know, we always play the victim. Well, most of us play the victim in life, right? And we say it's them, it's government, it's my parents, or whatever. And what you're saying, this prayer is really, I'm sorry, you know, I did this, you know, I wanted this to happen, so I need to forgive myself for inflicting all the suffering on myself. And I used all these things to just to justify this suffering.
Yes, that's so true. And it's remarkable. It's such a powerful prayer. I've had a lot of feedback from those I've shared it with who've used it. And some of them have had almost lifelong conflict with particular relationships. And using this prayer within 1 week, amazing miracles have occurred.
Wow.
That have helped heal the conflict between these people and themselves. And nobody needs to know about it.
Absolutely. Have you thought about copywriting this prayer? You can make a lot of money, you know.
Okay. Very, very funny. That's so funny. Hey, there's one.
Huh?
There's another one. Here's another one too, using it for scarcity, right? It works fantastic for scarcity. So say we're feeling as if we don't know where the next paycheck's coming from. We don't know how we're going to buy groceries, pay for our public transport or whatever. Use that prayer. Every moment we start to feel fearful about money is say, Holy Spirit, help me to forgive myself for using my belief in scarcity to attack myself and to separate from your love.
And to separate from your love.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Thomas.